Hello everyone, it's Ryan Liberty. In this video, I'll answer the question, what is the Myers-Briggs type indicator? Okay, so we're going to get into what the Myers-Briggs type indicator, also known as the MBTI, is. However, it is not something I'm a fan of, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But for now, I just want to describe what it is. So it's basically a personality test, or some people may call it a quiz or something. They call it the Myers-Briggs type indicator, where you take the test, and as you take you get the results from the test, you wind up with 4 letters. So each of the letters is supposed to be a part of your personality type. Quickly, the letters that you can get. So the first slot, you could get I or E for introversion or extroversion. The second slot, you could get N or S for intuition or sensing. The third slot, you could get feeling or thinking, so F or T. And then the fourth slot, you could get J or P for judging and perceiving. So you put them together and you get things like INTJ or ESFP. And that is your personality type. And to make it a little simpler, they give like a name for them. I don't know the names myself, but there's things like the scientist or the judge. And it's kind of like a fun little way to learn about yourself and learn how you could relate to other people and maybe your place in the world. People use this indicator to decide what kind of occupation they may fit in, what kind of role they may fit in an organization. I know HR departments use this. It's also something people use to choose a partner, a romantic partner. People, combine their types and see if they're compatible or not using this indicator. I recommend against doing all of that, and we'll get to why in a minute, but I always do some research before I do these videos, and that's what I'm looking down at. And I just wanted to get into the history quickly of where the MBTI, Myers-Briggs type indicator, comes from. So it was first published in 1943 by Catherine Cook Briggs, and her daughter Isabel Briggs Myers, and it's something that was based off of Carl Jung's personality type. So 1943, it was a budding time for psychology, and this was something that came out of that. Now, contrast that with today. It is the Myers-Briggs type indicator. The Myers-Briggs, it's owned, and it has 6 current registered trademarks in the United States as the time of this video. It's owned by the Myers-Briggs Foundation Incorporated, which is a registered nonprofit in Florida. And currently, I noticed that if you want to get certified in knowing the Myers-Briggs type indicator, it's approximately $1,800 to get certified through the foundation. So something to note there. The personality, the indicator of your personality type, the Myers-Briggs type indicator, has a number of issues. And that's really what I want to discuss here, because this is why I'm not a fan of using the Myers-Briggs type indicator. And personally, I feel like it's just junk science that people, for one reason or another, continue to use. So what are the issues? Why do I feel that way? Well, for one thing, personality traits are not binary. It's not like introverted or extroverted. People often fall somewhere along the middle, and this is known as like the standard bell curve you may have heard of before. So you've got, people who are extremely introverted on one end, people who are extremely extroverted on the other end, and then as we get closer and closer to the middle, the mixture of in between, that's where you'll find most people. So when we label people as introverted or extroverted, you're splitting them down the middle there somewhere. And what about those people who are kind of like close to the middle, that are a little bit in between? Why are we shoving them into one or the other? It doesn't make sense. Because personality traits are not binary like that. So that's one of the concerns about using the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Another concern is that when it was actually tested for validity in the community, it was found that only the introversion and extroversion pairing has any correlation with personality traits. The intuitive and sensing, the feeling and thinking, the judging and perceiving, pairs, they don't actually exist when it comes to personality, or if they do, it's not a correct and accurate description of them. So if you're going to use the Myers-Briggs type indicator for anything, it would probably be for the introversion and the extroversion. But even then, I wouldn't recommend it. So another issue with the Myers-Briggs type indicator is that the language is vague. The descriptions of the personalities are vague, and what happens is you get what's known as the Barnum effect, also called the Forer effect. And what it is when things are vague, people will give a high accuracy to the validity of something, feeling that it describes them, because we want to believe that it's true about us, I guess. I don't know exactly why we do that, but when something's vague, we just tend to say like, oh yeah, that's right, that's true, yes, exactly. But what we're not noticing is that those words can be used to describe tons of different people. It's not specific, and it's not accurate because it's not specific. So finally, one more issue that's going on with the Myers-Briggs type indicator, I was going to say that I have with it, but this is not me. It's not just me that feels this way. Is that after taking the indicator after only 5 weeks in between tests, people very often get a different result. So that just indicates to you that the test is not very reliable. So, if you're going to use the test to test your personality, it shouldn't be changing every 5 weeks. There should be some consistency to it. Now, I just want to make a little special note here, but I am not saying that personalities cannot change. They absolutely can change. But if you're going to be testing for a personality, it shouldn't be changing every 5 weeks. It's very rare for somebody's personality to change that often. So that just kind of points to another issue with the Myers-Briggs type indicator. So alternatives to this test that I would recommend that somebody use, and I think that any qualified psychotherapist probably would indicate, I am not a psychotherapist myself, I am not licensed, but these are the alternatives. So you have and this is not the exhaustive list of alternatives, these are just the ones that I think that are appropriate. So you have the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, which the most recent version is number 2RF actually. So that has been scientifically validated. We know that will indicate accurately somebody's personality. And most recently, the Personality Index PID-5. Why am I forgetting the name? The Personality Inventory Diagnostic of the DSM-5. The abbreviation confuses me. It's PID-5, Personality Inventory of the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual number 5. There we go. And again, these are measuring things. The PID-5 I know measures 26 different personality traits. I've got that correct. I believe I have that correct. I do have a video on personality traits if you want to kind of double check me on that one. But these have been validated, they have been standardized, and we know that they work as opposed to the Myers-Briggs. The Myers-Briggs type indicator, which has a number of issues. So lastly, before I leave you on this topic, I wanted to discuss why do people use what I see as, and most people in the community see as a unreliable and inaccurate test. So my thoughts on this are that it's marketed very well. It is a nonprofit, but a nonprofit has to have money flowing through to be able to continue to exist. So they market the test. And as you saw, like I said earlier, it's $1,800 to get certified. It's become a little bit of a part of our culture with people like HR departments using it. And there's kind of this swept up feeling that we've been using it, so we got to continue using it, that kind of a thing going on. So the marketing is on point. Also, people feel good about identifying with a type. I think once people get that label, like, oh, this is who I am, these are my letters, it makes people feel good about themselves. So there's no, some of the other tests, you may not feel so good if you find out that you're manipulative. But these tests, the Myers-Briggs type indicator, it generally makes people feel positive to find out what they are. So that may be another reason why people use this test. And another reason could be that it just gives people a sense of certainty and a sense of order about their world, to know like, well, this is my type and this is the type of occupation that I can do and these are the types of people I'll be compatible with. I think that helps people to feel a little bit more safe, a little more grounded. But unfortunately, I don't believe that we should be using that indicator as, because it's not valid. It bothers me. What I really want to say is don't use it. I don't like it. It's not valid. It's not backed up by science. You know, you have the choice of whether you want to use it or not, of course. But let me hear from you guys. What is your thoughts on the Myers-Briggs type indicator? I know a lot of people, when I bring up this issue, they kind of come back at me and they say, well, you know, I don't know. I haven't gotten enough feedback to know. So please give me some feedback. What do you think of the Myers-Briggs type indicator? Is it junk science to you, the way I view it? Or do you feel like there's some validity to it? I'd love to hear. You know my opinion, but leave your opinion below, and thank you for taking the time to learn about it with me now. Hey, it's Ryan Liberty. If you like that video, please give it a thumbs up, share with a friend, and leave any questions or comments down below, because that would really help me out. If you're somebody who's gone through a traumatic event and you're feeling cut off from the people around you, I have a free course that will help with that, so please click to get it. And if you'd like to see the rest of my videos, please click subscribe. As always, I want to remind you that your life matters. Nobody can question your worth. However it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, it's okay, and you are loved. Thanks again for watching.